Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. Since I came out to the Philippines, I guess I'm more reliant on online friendships. That's because I'm a foreigner and because I so far have neglected to learn the language. Now, I know that this is not a popular idea with foreigners when they come out here. Why? Learning the language. Why? Because everybody speaks English and you can go around and speak English all day and hardly notice that anybody else is speaking another language if you're not listening. And the not listening, how does that happen? Well, after a while you tune out. I'm talking as a foreigner now, obviously. You tune out to the language and you know that they're talking another language. You don't have to listen, so you're released from that. This can have a funny side to it. I know that when we were coming up once in the truck and we just started out on that difficult path past the 20-step Catholic Church, which is right at the front. It stands guard over the entrance to our little road that leads up to our house, and a load of kids were there and they saw me, and I can hear, the one word I can hear which I recognize is Cano, which is Americano. So to anybody else out there who's Filipino, I'm an Americano, I'm American. No, which as you probably have detected, I'm not actually American, I'm British. But anyway, I'm an American citizen, so okay. And I'm a Cano, not an Americano. It comes out as Cano. And I recognize that one word, so my mind picks out that one word that I understand. And it's a load of kids, and they're all laughing and they're happy, and I take it that that's good. And I smile and wave back to them and everything. It's only later when I catch my wife laughing, I say, honey, why are you laughing? And she said, well, it's what they were saying. I said, well, weren't they just saying hello to the Americano? So she said, no, that's not what they were saying.
No, at first, I didn't. At first, on
you
your own.
Didn't tell me straight away.
No, because at first, when you're on your own, the kids, remember, the kids is always.
The kids are always
and then
shouting to me.
Yeah, and then at first they're shouting at you with you. Then I didn't hear what they're saying. So there's one time that I with you, and then I clearly understand what they're talking. So they says, Americano had a big one. And then I love it.
So they were making fun of me because they said I had a big one, which actually could have been a lot worse. I mean, they could have been saying you only have a little one, which I suppose would be worse. But anyway, so you really need to learn the language if you're going to be in the culture. So that's, but we get spoiled as foreigners because everybody speaks the language for us, and yet, and I've spoken to people and said, I think we should learn the language, and they said, no, I have no interest in learning the language. If a friend tells me I have no interest in learning the language, it's quite almost indignant about it. Well, and yet I think that if we were in America or in the UK and we listened to a foreigner there, somebody from another country, foreign to the UK or America, and that foreigner said that he had no interest in learning English, we would think that that was the dumbest thing that we'd ever heard. And why would we say that? Well, how do you ever expect to integrate with the country, with the culture, if you don't speak the language? Of course you have to speak the language. I've heard people say this, you're in America, speak the language, we speak English. They would get angry at, say, Mexicans who didn't speak the language. And they would stand in line and they would hate the fact that this person was speaking in Spanish. and would rebuke them and say, you're in America, speak English. And yet here we are, and we're not speaking the language. We're not speaking Tagalog, we're not speaking Visayan. And there's so much more enrichment to life if you speak the language. I'm trying. I admit that I'm not dedicated enough, and I should be more dedicated, and I should be more focused, and every day I keep reminding myself that I should do this, and eventually the lesson will come home, and I will learn it. I'm learning it very, very slowly, but we really need to be able to speak the language if we hope to be part of this culture. Well, so many foreigners say they don't wish to be part of it, and yet they can't see that part of the reason that they have decided not to be part of the culture is the very reason that they should be trying to be part, and that is that they don't understand so much of what is going on. Now, I expect that quite unreasonably that Beth will understand something that I've said, and yet it is plain to see that she does not understand, and yet I have the nerve to sometimes, until I catch myself, actually be a little bit annoyed. Well, why don't you understand? It was quite clear. I told you I'm going to go the whole 9 yards. What does it mean to a foreigner if you tell them that you're going to go the whole 9 yards? Well, to us English-speaking people, especially Americans, going the whole 9 yards means that you're going to go all out to do everything you can. But it doesn't mean that to someone who doesn't speak English as a first language. You know, like I'll say, are we ready to go? Are we ready to go? Well, is that enough? Is that enough English for a non-English speaking person to know? Or I'll say, so, are we a go? Is it a go? Is what a go? See, so we're expecting a high degree of understanding in English, and yet we offer no attempt to understand the culture and the language of the land that we are in. And as long as we, as foreigners, allow ourselves to justify being on the outside of this culture, then obviously we will never really be part of it. It came home to me last night, yet again. I'm sitting at the dinner table, and I'm sitting there with my wife, a Filipina, my mother-in-law, a Filipina, my sister-in-law, a Filipina, my niece, a Filipina, and my nephew, a Filipino. And there is this whole animated conversation going on, with little jokes, little laughter, fun, talking about what's happened during the day. All of this is all outside my understanding. Is it their fault? No. Should they be speaking English? No. Should they be doing the polite thing that so often Westerners think should happen? Well, they can speak English and I can't speak Visayan or Tagalog, so they should speak my language. No, I don't think so. You know, it's really up to foreigners, it's really up to people coming into this country to speak the language. It just seems obvious. If you tried, I've mentioned this before, you go to France. Now, France jealously guard their language. They, as far as I remember, the last time that I looked, they still have gender, right? Things are still male and female. They guard the the great heritage of the French language, which is a beautiful language. Italian, beautiful language, you know, and they guard that language, and they don't allow for this corruption that in English we've allowed, like in America. I used to get into upsets with people because I said, well, you're speaking American and I'm speaking English. Well, I was speaking English, the English I knew. Americans have changed the English language to their own language. Attire is not T-Y-R-E. Attire is T-I-R-E. Colour is not C-O-L-O-U-R. It's C-O-L-O-R. They've changed it. And they have all of their own expressions. They have their own spellings. Even blonde is spelt differently. Sometimes with an E, sometimes without. They've changed it for themselves, and they speak American, not English. So when you go to another country, and we're always talking here, obviously, because this is our site, our channel, is about life, ordinary life in the Philippines. Well, ordinary life in the Philippines really should be about speaking the language. So I guess really it's a bit of a wandering that I've done here, but in fact I really do feel that we should learn the language, and if we would have a much richer life with the Filipinos if we.
Yeah, and I think also the advantage of a foreigner, if they learn the language, is they gathered a lot of friends, you know, because there are a good Filipinos out there, you know. They're just hesitant to talk to the foreigner because of the nosebleed thing, you know. Their English is just limited.
Explain the nosebleed.
No, it means that they understand what the foreigner said, but it's just difficult for them to express what they wanted to say, you know. So in other words,
they have what's called
a nosebleed.
A nosebleed.
Yeah, because for example, I understand what you said, but I don't know how to expand out, how to explain it to you, because my English is need to be tie by tie, you know. In other words, connect by connect, and I need to stop for a while to think what should I say.
To think what you're going to say,
yeah.
To formulate the words and sentences.
Yeah, you're right, formulating the word. So that's how it is. So I think it's advantage for a foreigner to come here and to try to learn the language, not fully fluent it, you know.
They don't have to be fluent.
Yeah.
But I notice in France, if you walk into a store and you assume that they are going to speak English, they consider that a great deal of arrogance, and they won't cooperate with you. A lot of store owners will not cooperate with you. They'll not understand. But if you go in and say, bonjour monsieur, I don't know, un petit français, that means little, it means little French, help me. And they will, because you have made an effort, you have shown a little respect for them and their language, and they'll help you. And I know here that people ask me, do I speak Visayan? And I say, a little. And then I say, akong asawa guapa. Akong asawa guapa. And that means, for the Westerners, that means I have a beautiful wife. Guess who taught me that? Yes, my wife taught me to say that. But because I say it, and I've learned that, they like, it breaks the ice, and then they're not so.
Yeah, there's another Visayan that you know, the one when somebody lied.
Oh yes, if someone is telling lies, which the person shall be nameless, when they're telling me that something is done and it's not done, then I can say but, and that means you're not telling the truth. Okay. Which leads us on to the other thing of language. and the difference between the exchanges between a foreigner and his Filipina lady. And that is the lack of awareness or appreciation of past, present and future. We've talked about this many times, past, present and future, and he and she. Like even now, after 2 years of talking every single day in near fluent English, Beth still refers to someone who is female as he,
No,
and
the male
someone
is
who
he.
is male as she. But. You don't do it, but.
I only have a little, just sometimes I just forgot mixing it,
That's the other word. That
Yeah.
if this phrase was a carpet, it would be threadbare from use, and that is, I forgot.
Yeah, so please like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Have a good day and God bless. Bye-bye.
I